2 base picking up the Wraith King versus the Beastmaster, where you don't want to have to roar him the first time. If you have to roar him to get him off of your supports, you're probably going to be pretty unhappy. And then we're going to see Giant most likely end up on this Lina. We've seen him play it before, to varying degrees of success. It's a little bit troublesome. At least the lane is going to feel pretty good versus that Wraith King. Going to make it a little bit hard for Sammy Boy to approach. But
Ooh.
we see the Invoker coming out, and we keep seeing this Invoker getting played, getting valued, getting first picked. So we'll have to see what Gunner's able to do.
Yeah, so many teams in this field here have mid laners who very much like the Invoker, so I understand when it was coming out sort of first phase, but it does seem a little bit strange to see it being picked up and surviving all the way sort of to the back end of phase 2, but for Zoomers have it, it's going to be the Gunner Invoker once again here, and back to the point you were sort of making with the Lina, in that pause for a roll, it just seems so inconsistent, I think is the phrase that I want to use. We've seen a couple of instances where it really does hit that mark that you want. You get the lockdown, you get that sort of extra damage, and your Lina can, in the best case scenario, almost turn herself into a fourth core, but it's a kind of high risk, high reward sort of situation, because if you don't hit that mark, then the Lina just doesn't really feel as strong. So in theory, the Cut are going to get a lot out of this with Lina and Giant, but we've also seen plenty of matches where it struggled, and it's effectively just sort of fed kills throughout the entirety of the match. So strange sort of dichotomy there for the Lina pick. It's either going to be insanely good, or 4Zoomers are going to absolutely annihilate it.
And it does feel like maybe you could have gone for something else, and the Invoker pick feels even better the more I think about it, because now you have this Lina. You might be able to get some crazy toss-back play, try to get him on your range creep, push him underneath the tower, but aside from that, I think Gunner is going to be able to farm up pretty safely, and we'll see KXY yesterday when he was playing the Invoker versus Tiny matchup. It was a wash. He was 27-20 or something versus Wage and the same team. So we'll have to really see Red to use his mana efficiently, to be able to get those last hits, just try to get a decent Blink Dagger timing, because you're not going to see that support coming in from Giant. Even though we did have Tusk, we did have his Nyx Assassin still in the pool, they decided to go for this Lina. And I just really want to see him prove himself, because this Lina hero, people, again, they talk about it so much that you're able to really shut down these safe laners. You're really able to force a lot more regen to be purchased on the Wraith King, but I don't think that value's really come into effect. Sammy Boy just kind of AFK goes jungle, and if Gunner is going to have that free time, he's definitely just going to TP bottom, make the play onto your Lina, cold snap him, earn him, and you're just kind of dead.
Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly got potential, as we sort of mentioned before, and as people have been sort of saying about this hero, but it's kind of a maybe I'll believe it when I see it kind of situation here for Giant. In the meantime, we're moving into the final phase of the bans, the Cut. We're looking to take away some of those other support options, both the Clockwork and the Earth Spirit actually banned out. I know that Earth Spirit is very much a hero that Ocean is incredibly skilled on, but I don't know, we haven't really seen it much. The Earth Spirit's just kind of dropped out of the meta entirely, and while Ocean may be a specialist, it does still feel like there's not much of a place for it in recent times, but fair enough, right? You don't want to let Ocean on a hero that he is incredibly experienced with, so may as well ban it out, and now we'll see what 4Zoomers look for here. Do you think that they're going for that position 4 role and they swing the Willow to the 5, or will the Willow be in Ocean's hands instead?
Well, and we've seen them swap it around, and I guess we'll see the pickup here, and we will see the Elder Titan. I'm assuming this is just going to be a Husky Elder Titan. It should just be an Ocean Dark Willow. And the ET, we saw really only Undying picking it up before, but it is quite the big problem that the Cut are going to have to deal with if you're not able to find him. We saw how much work Dubu was able to do in the same situation versus Tiny, where the Tiny goes in, gets that Avatos combo, you don't have BKB yet, you immediately get stomped, you immediately get Earth Splittered, and at the same time, Mars is a very similar situation, where once the arena goes down, you throw that Earth Splitter in, you don't really have the Disable to get onto that backline, you don't have very deep heroes. The Cut are not as mobile as maybe a Storm Spirit, maybe a Void Spirit would be, so they don't have that reach. If they really mess up their initiation, or they stay in a little bit too long, this is the perfect pick to punish it. And now SMD, he got a lot of his heroes banned out, so we see the Naga. So the Cut, they're going to try to take this long. They're going to try to force this to be one of those grindy games. And Naga playing on the team with the Naga when you're from behind does feel a little bit better. We've seen so many teams with the Naga where you get that lead and it feels like you can't really do anything. So this is a shot in the dark, I think, for the cut, but really they just need to have those individual performances on that Mars and Tiny to carry them through that 15-20 minute lull. And then maybe Scourge McDuck will be able to farm up something for maybe a 30-35 minute timing, but the cut aren't winning before that.
Right. No matter how well the Tiny and the Mars play, the Naga is going to have to factor in. But if Red 2 and Tingle can sort of hold things down, pass off the baton, as you said, sort of in that sort of mid to late game timing to the Naga, then maybe something can happen here for the cut. But the problem on the opposing side is that 4 Zoomers are going to recognize this timing. They are going to try and take steps to counteract it. So we mentioned pressure was going to be on Red 2 and Tingle. It's going to be big for them. They're going to have to really just kind of play down a man for quite a while here with the Naga Siren farming up in that jungle. So we'll see how well they respond to that pressure and whether or not they're going to be able to sort of act as that setup duo for the team later on. As we are getting ourselves into this one, let me just pop the there we go, pop the old overlay in, and we are good to go. We'll see really how much protection the cut can provide to Scourge. That is going to be the name of the game here. As no real funny business here. We don't really see too much of that anymore. I'm sort of mentioning at the start of every game just in case, but no deep dives. Don't really think we're going to see anything outside of maybe just popping down some early wards as Gunner already putting down that obs in the middle lane.
Yeah, and we really only see those smoke ups, I think, coming in from those SA teams. They just really value the information and sort of the getting the word down in the mid lane before the enemy mid laner. Maybe you get that cheeky D word. I think they always start with the sentry on those SA teams. They really value sort of that aspect of Dota, whereas NA, they're just G next, get the default down, don't really care. We want to use our regen. We see a sentry picked up by the Naga Siren bottom. But good vision all across the board. They do have that ward in between the towers, so Ocean might be able to snipe out those couriers, something they do need to be careful of. And at the same time, you're just running a default. You're just kind of waiting for the game to start, as I don't think either team are going to get too aggressive. As for Zoomers, they love putting down the Suns fans.
God, how many have they put? Just 2 in the river. Actually, oh, there's a third. I missed it initially. 3 Suns fans in the river. It sounds like the start of a joke or a riddle or something, but... that Suns fan, I don't know. Not sure if he's watching. He's actually probably watching the Suns right now. Fair enough to him. But with that in mind, we are getting this game underway, and, well, going to turn our attention to the bottom lane first. Brax and Ocean here going to look to do maybe just a little bit in terms of aggression against Scourge. I don't know if they're really going to go all in for this. You mentioned earlier on this might be sort of maybe a slow start for both teams in terms of just sort of focusing in on farm, but Brax, he's got the axes at level 1, so he is trying to get at least a little bit of damage in there that's going to help him maybe clear through some of these illusions a little bit faster as well. Just try and take that out of the equation so Scourge doesn't quite have the same degree of farming potential.
Yeah, and you always have to be careful with the axes. You're definitely going to be under a little bit more pressure, and then he's probably going to get very few points up in that inner beast. We might see 1 point at level 2, just make it a little bit easier for him to lane. But then Pingu has to be really careful with his positioning. If you get caught out with that boar, right now he doesn't want to scale it up just because Pingu does have that chilling touch. Up until you get that level 2 or level 3 boar, it just feels like the AA is just going to be able to focus it down. Same with the illusions, you just don't really have a place in that lane.
So, you mentioned Pingu going to have to be careful. Yeah, once Brax has the slow from the boar, and once Ocean maybe gets a point up in something like the Curse Crown here as well, the Ancient Apparition has to be incredibly careful of his positioning. I don't think we're going to see any sort of early points up in the Ensnare from the Naga Siren, so there won't be a crazy amount of defensive potential if that AA gets into trouble, as we do see the Bramble thrown down here. Not going to hit onto any heroes, though, but it's a decent first attempt from Ocean, just sort of going out and maybe fishing a little bit to see if anybody was not quite paying attention to their positioning.
And really, with that blocked up already, Ocean will be able to get that camp. Pingu's going to immediately get the sort of D ward out, and he's going to take a little bit of damage here on the AA, but as soon as he gets cold feet up, he can't stand. But the camp was allowed to spawn, so Ocean does have that available to him if he does need to pull something back from Brax.
And they might want to consider that. There it is. Ocean's going to go for it right now. The pull comes through, and Pingu, he's not in position to really sort of counter that one out. He is going to push forward now. Can get a little bit of damage in with the chilling touch as, hold up, did Anaga?
Yeah, he sent an illusion
Oh,
over and Brax, and now it's up to Pingu to get the run right click off and saved.
oh my god. At the last possible second, that one melee creep was in the camp and then decides, no, I'm going to go chase over here instead. So, 2 attempts at it from 4 Zoomers, and they're not quite able to get it. They do get the Brambles down onto Scourge, though, but yeah, that's part of the sort of bonus of the mirror image there. He's just able to sort of jump himself out of it. No real return damage coming into play there. So, nice plays from both Scourge and Pingu, sort of keeping the lane, well, in a position that I think they're going to be maybe relatively happy with, although it is starting to push forward a little bit more at this stage. Last
Yeah, and
hit-wise...
they can't really do too much. If Pingu weaves, then they're going to immediately get the crown. They're going to punish Scourge if he does end up using that mirror image, but 1 point up in the net.
Okay.
He doesn't have a point there. Yeah, he's just dead.
He wasn't able to get out in time. The cold feet procs, so, well, I said I didn't think we were going to see Scourge go for an early point in the ensnare, but he grabs it up at level 3, recognizing the opportunity with the cold feet combo, and that's a relatively simple first blood for them. Brax just didn't really anticipate that they were going to have that initial lockdown. He thought he was just dealing with the cold feet, and he's not quite survivable enough to get himself out of that situation. So, good play from the cut, sort of taking their opponents by surprise to get that first kill, and now Pingu, he's actually going to go for this pull himself, and he will get it. So, they find the kill, and now they're going to pull the lane back a little bit. Everything really looking good for them in this bottom lane.
Yeah, and they thought they were safe just because they did have that mirror image. It is still only level 1,
Single.
possibly level 2. Yeah, top. They're also
Husky,
low.
I think Husky ran out of time on that Astral Spirit bonus just as he was going in for that final hit, so doesn't quite have the damage, but Tingle is going to get pushed back, and Tingle King doesn't have any actual regen right now. There's a Tango up on the Lina that he could maybe pass over, but now Giant may need that himself. He's just going to get hit up. Husky, he needs one more, but he's not going to get it. Now the spear.
A spear.
Husky pinned to the, oh god, pinned to the tower. Giant comes in for the LSA, and Giant's actually the one to get the kill. So he goes from, I mean, dead to rights on that play to turning it around and actually getting the credit for the kill himself.
Yeah, and they can't really get too aggressive on Sammy Boy. Already has that chainmail. So it really is the perfect play, the perfect punish, just the Fairy Fire. We see Fairy Fires picked up so consistently now, really across the board. I first noticed Ice, really the first offlaner to start picking them up, especially in these side lanes. It really does come in clutch. It's just a 75 HP stick that really lets you turn around these low HP situations.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, a lot of slow sort of adopters of that play, but it is almost the perfect sort of bait here. As speaking of baits, Brax gonna get himself pulled in there, the ensnare into the cold feet, proccing once again, but this time Brax is able to fall back. Ocean comes in with the cursed crown there to sort of force Scourge to fall back, and this time Brax will survive, but that combo is opening up quite a bit of damage for this sort of safe lane duo. They just drop down the ensnare, they know that the cold feet will proc based on the duration of the net, and they didn't have enough damage that time, but if they just keep on sort of going at it, Brax really is not going to have a whole lot of fun in this lane.
And they do have to be careful. If you need the mirror image to get the kill onto the Beastmaster, that does mean you're just going to get stunned up by that Willow. You need to sort of save it for that purge, but it's a catch-22. You don't have enough damage, not enough Riptide proc, so Scourge does need to get a little bit lucky to sort of seal the deal on the kill, but Brax doesn't mind this. He's got a triple wave coming in. He's going to get a lot of XP here.
Meanwhile, back up top, another little skirmish. Sammy and Husky still just trying to push in there, and they're doing this damage pretty consistently. It wasn't enough this time as Giant was able to fall back, but you see them sort of attempting it over and over again as Pingu does get picked off in that bottom lane. As Ocean...
Oh, Tingle, top 2.
Just able to pick it off as Tingle... Yeah, he didn't fall back. I thought he was just going to back away, but he... Ugh, he tried, he missed, he will be taken down. Sammy gets the kill, and now Giant is going to have to hide in the tree line and hope that Sammy and Husky don't come looking for him. Sammy Boy... Well, he could pop the wand here, actually, so they may go for this one, as Giant is going to get spotted.
Giant.
The stomp comes through. LSA off the mark, and yeah, he's dead. Sammy should get the kill here as he comes in with that crit, and that is unfortunate for the Lina. That's really the only play you could make there. You just had to try and hide and hope that they didn't find you, and that's not quite the case. Sammy Boy able to find a kill, his second now in the laning stage, as 4 Zoomers find 2 up in that top lane.
Yeah, and both going to the Wraith King gonna accelerate him just that much more. It's very unfortunate Tingle King wouldn't have died there. He just whiffed it. Playing versus melee heroes with such high turn rates, you do need to be a little bit cautious of that, especially with Samuel Boy getting his phase boots out. If you do whiff it, he is just gonna run at you, right click you down, and just not respecting it. And again, it's the Lina. It feels a little bit weak, especially if you can get on top of it with these melee heroes. And even all before that, it's just Gunnar being incredibly annoying already on this Invoker. At least
Oh,
Red 2 has been able to get quite a bit of farm. They haven't been able to secure too many runes for him just yet, and they're actually going to fight in the river
this is the
about this.
problem, yeah. Cold Snap comes out, Urn dropped as well. Husky goes in for the Stomp. He is going to take the regen rune out from under the Tiny's hands, and not going to go any further than that. Gunnar is completely Quas Wex at this point, so he really doesn't have much damage afterwards, so they weren't looking for a fight, they were just looking to secure the rune, and Husky is able to get it, but now Husky is on his way down bot, but his presence might not really be necessary. Brax
And
already
Roar.
got the kill, the Roar now deployed, and well, Husky is going to get involved there with the Stomp, just to make sure that Brax can get it. Double kill for that Beastmaster as he hits level 6 just that little bit earlier than the Naga. Naga about 5 3/4, even a little bit higher than that, but Brax is that little bit faster, and it will net them those kills.
And really, we haven't seen, and we will see, hopefully, Tingle King and the Tiny have a little bit more presence on the map, as right now, Gunnar has been so good. Red 2 keeps on getting hit up by this EMP Tornado combo. If he doesn't have the regen coming out from bottle, he has to walk back to base. Right now, he only has enough mana for really one spell, so they can play with full confidence knowing that this Tiny can't get involved. So we might see the cut start to rotate away. And I think that's where, yeah, the Naga is already going to make that rotation top. They're trying to get counterplay on this tower. But as soon as we see that, then the Zoomers start walking mid. So,
And Tier 1 tower in danger up top, but as you said, Gunnar and Husky trying to get a little bit more aggressive in the middle lane. Not going to be able to find anything just yet, but over in the bottom lane, you do see Brax about to take a tower. So Tier 1s will effectively be traded out. The gold is basically perfectly even on that, which leaves 4 Zoomers still up by a bit over 1,000 here, just about 10 minutes in. So they maintain their advantage, and now Husky, he's looking to move his way mid. He goes in for the Stomp. They got the EMP down here as well, but I'm not sure they really have the damage for this one. Again, Gunnar, no points up in the Exort, so a lot of the sort of offensive firepower for him from that spell list, currently unavailable. Red 2 survives. The 2 supports even sort of rotate over just to make sure he's going to be okay, and at this point, if 4 Zoomers try again, they're going to be pushing into 3. That could get a little complicated for them. So Gunnar and Husky going to sort of play it cool for the time being and not make any sort of immediate moves across the river.
and I would have loved if Gunnar was able to get a little bit more aggressive in those side lanes, but he's really hyper-focused on shutting down Red 2. I think he's completely fine. He should
Yeah,
just be able to
they
walk
still
this
can't
one
get
off.
this. Yeah.
And that's the only issue with Quaswex Invoker. As soon as you use your spells, you're kind of just stuck sitting there. They're very long cooldowns. You don't really have much in the tank afterwards. But again, this is all just to shut down the Tiny because they know that's really the playmaker. That's why we didn't see Gunnar go to that top lane, because he doesn't want to play into the Mars's hand. He doesn't want to give Tingle King an opportunity to get an easy arena down. And that's why we haven't seen Tinkle come mid either, because this ET has such a big presence here. He doesn't want to use the arena in sort of a wasteful way. So Gunnar's just going to continue to EMP Tornado Red 2, and there's not much he can do about it.
Yeah, that is the downside here for the Tiny. Not a lot of mobility as he is going to get jumped in on. This time, though, well, maybe this time they get
Splitter?
it. That's going to be an Earth Splitter coming through. Red 2, one more shot. No, okay, 2 more shots. There it is. Gunnar comes in for the kill. So it takes them 2 or 3 attempts, but they do find the kill. But now Tingle, like he wants in, dropping the arena into the Spear Stun, into the Ice Blast, but there's going to be the Roar from Brax, locking Tingle King down. Gunnar going to be coming in as well. Ocean does end up falling, but if they could get Tingle in exchange, this is still going to be favorable for them, as Husky in with another Stomp. And they've got it. Gunnar picks up the double. Ocean does have to be sacrificed, and now hold on.
Oh no!
They found another. The Lina tries to go in for the Laguna onto Husky, but he's still alive, and now Giant got to get himself out of here. Can he actually make it away, though? He is still pretty fast. That Fiery Soul is sort of helping him out, but not sure it's going to be enough. Oh, boy.
Brax.
Close in there with the axes as Husky is scouting with the Spirit, but I think he actually missed. Giant, yeah, they're pinging him out now. As those axes will come through again. Giant has been spotted. Gunnar, well, does
5
he have
seconds on the
abilities
tornado.
back up? Yeah. He needs to get in now, though. He needs
Oh.
that Cold Snap. He's not going to be able to get there in time as Giant just takes the opportunity to TP away.
And it is completely fine. It's a little bit fortunate that he got that Laguna Blade off, because if he didn't, he would have died to that EMP. But Gunnar gets his Midas delivered to him. It's a very fast Midas, gonna skill up a lot of points in that Exort. Now, he actually has one too many points in Wex, at least typically from where we see this build, but not gonna be a big deal. he's just going to have even more damage coming out from that EMP. And again, you've slowed down this Tiny drastically. He's 1,000 gold away from his Blink Dagger. He did pick up an Invis rune, but they even just sit down bottom, make that play on a Giant because they see Red 2 TP mid. And again, Zoomers being the more experienced squad, this is something we see with those squads, just always able to make those calls on the map and really being able to read into these situations so well.
Yeah, they're making all the rotations necessary. Husky in particular, 5 assists on his team's 7 kills. So he has been absolutely fantastic here. Really sort of realizing Sammy Boy's going to be okay in the top lane without me. I can try and make moves elsewhere on the map. And as you sort of you were talking about earlier on when we saw that Wraith King sort of come out for Sammy, this is the way he likes to play. He spends a little bit of time in the lane, but once that initial sort of 10-minute mark passes, he's all in the jungle. You see the Midas actually picked up on him as well. So this is a situation where the Wraith King really can't be punished right now. The Cut are not in a position to go chasing after him, and even if they were, I'm not sure it would be a good idea for them to even try to do so with the Tiny still lacking at that Blink Dagger. So Sammy Boy's just fine. The rest of 4 Zoomers are really sort of free to maneuver about the map now while he farms up, but the Cut are actually looking to make a bit of a move themselves here. Tingle is moving himself to the north. Red 2 is going to pop that Invis rune, but I'm not really sure what they can find here. Anyone that
On
they could have
bottom?
jumped in on is actually already falling back as Giant, yeah, briefly sort of threatened in that bottom lane as Brax was pushing in. There were a couple of TPs coming that were canceled, so looks like Giant's going to be okay, but that wasn't really much of a commitment for Brax. He goes in, drops down the axes, the roar was still held, and those are some TPs on cooldown now, so relatively low-cost play for Brax as that push into the north side jungle kind of falls apart as well. The Cut really just not able to find anything right now, and Red 2 at this point, now that the Invis rune is gone, just give up on this play, man. Go get your Blink. Like, go farm. You really do need that Blink Dagger in order to be that sort of playmaking hero that the Cut need right now.
And again, 4 Zoomers have really clean reads. Simply, they see the Mars cancel his TP. It's actually the Tingle King blink, but no, Gunnar walks out. It's just a little bit of a missed spell use. Because of daytime, he wasn't able to get that jump because of these trees sort of being cleaved away. They were able to simply turn around and walk away. So that's your blink, that's your arena off cooldown. That feels pretty bad for Tingle King. That's what he's really been building up to. And he's been eating a lot of space. He's been taking a part away from Scourge. So that kind of sucks.
Very unfortunate for him, and now 4 Zoomers will look to respond. They're pushing their way mid. Speculative tornado there from Gunnar. Maybe it hits Scourge, but if it doesn't, he doesn't really care. It clears him out, and they do take the tower. So 4 Zoomers doing well right now. 4K up. They've got double hand of Midas's going, and they're starting to take control of the map as well. So this is something that the Cut are going to have to try and take some steps to really sort of fix. I mean, they've got one blink up on the Mars. The Tiny just finished his off as well. So now is the time for them to try and make some moves here to make more space for that Naga Siren. And we do see them grouping up a little bit here. They've got a smoke on the 2 supports. Red 2 and Tingle actually weren't included in that, but they've both got Blink Daggers, so if they're close enough, they will be able to sort of make that initiation anyway. So we'll see where they go. It looks like they're heading into the north side jungle for now, but Sammy, he's already rotating away while the rest of 4 Zoomers are actually going to push in mid. They've spotted out Tingle King, and they are going to hit him with a stomp into the Earth Splitter, and there's just no way out here. The Mars is dead. Gunnar picks up the kill, and now this aggressive maneuver from the Cut that was going into the north side jungle all of a sudden basically has to sort of turn around and abandon that play.
And it feels like it shouldn't matter, but they have this ward in their jungle. It clips the Tiny. The jig is up. Sammy Boy just rotates away. He's not even in that neck of woods. They couldn't kill him once. I don't think they would be able to kill him a second time. And he's making steadfast towards that Radiance. He almost has that relic. He's just able to farm the lane that the Naga continues to push out. Of course, at the same time, the Naga hasn't really been affected too much, but Branks, with this Beastmaster, we always see when you get this Beastmaster up, you just sort of lead-legged, you stay in your lane, you sort of make it the fortress, put the Hawk down, make it really difficult for the Cut to ever get into your neck of the woods, unless they make that smoke rotation, which they are going for, but Tingle King isn't smoked. So as soon as they see this Mars, he might be posturing a little bit too heavily here, so he's trying to bait them in, making them think that he's alone, but really, if 4 Zoomers think for a second here, they sort of should get the idea that he isn't alone, and now they're sort of setting up their own bait play with the second Hawk placed, and this is just a lot of time the Cut are sort of wasting.
And this is always something... So interesting, as we do have a bit of pause coming out here. We talk about Four Zoomers being sort of one of the more skilled and experienced teams in the North American region. A lot of times you can't always see that sort of quantified in a match. That is the perfect situation there. They know Tingle King is not alone. They have absolutely no concrete evidence to support that, but they know just based on the way that the Mars was sort of maneuvering there. If he TPs into that bottom lane and he was actually by himself, they figure he wouldn't be making those moves. He wouldn't be pushing that far forward. He wouldn't just be acting the way that he was. So that sort of mental analysis from Four Zoomers really giving them a bit of a leg up. And as you mentioned, they're now trying to basically set up some sort of counterplay here to effectively bait the cut into the fight. So this is going to get a little bit tense. We'll see what Tingle and Red 2 can do, though. As we said before, they both have Blink Daggers, so they do have that sort of range of initiation, but as of right now, doesn't look like they're actually going to go for this one either. I think they spotted that Hawk and managed to take it down. So they know that their opponents know that they're in position now, and they will back off.
And all of this with double Midas farming. Sammy Boy hasn't had to rotate really or move around anything the cut has done. You had those two sort of botched initiations. You had two smokes used now from the cut. And now they need to buckle down and farm, but you're farming versus a lineup that farms better than you, where this Beastmaster already has the pipe. He's working on his own Ags. At the same time, going to be an Aghanim Scepter coming out on the Invoker. Then they're going to have all the vision in the world to start taking these fights. Radiant's going to be done in just a few here. Yeah, they clipped the Tiny. Earth Splitter too.
That Earth Splitter does connect, but here come the TPs, so reinforcements are arriving. The cut are going to be able to sort of regroup around that tower. And Four Zoomers,
Punish Ocean?
they want it. They're in. Can he actually get the spear down? Yes, he can. But the Dark Willow, not dead just yet. That Ice Blast, though, is actually not going to hit. So Ocean's just going to TP out. No, he's not. LSA will cancel it, so he's still trapped up here. And Giant will be able to bring him down with that max level Dragon Slave.
But 5-man rotation. You brought everybody. You used your one big cooldown. You will be able to go again once you have this AA blast. Red 2 doesn't really have that many targets that this Tiny can kill. He needs to be so careful. Uses all of his mana, and they're still just encapsulating this bottom lane, letting Sammy Boy push in everywhere else, and Pingu.
Yeah, he's going to dance, but that's... Oh, okay, no. Great Fire Blast came
almost
out.
got him out there.
That would have been some pretty impressive stuff had Tingle been in there maybe a half second earlier, but Sammy Boy will get the kill. Pingu, maybe not the most valuable in the world, but that does now reveal Sammy Boy, he's got the Radiance. He's got Radiance and a Midas less than 20 minutes into the game, so he's good to go. He's just going to push forward with his teammates now. They'll take the tier 2 tower, and Sammy's even going to TP back up top to once again sort of keep that top lane from being taken down. The Naga Siren continues trying to go for that sort of continuous split push play, but every time the Naga gets close, Sammy Boy's there to sort of shut it down.
And Scourge has done a really good job of getting his farm. His timings are actually quite fast. He has a Diffusal Blade now, so we might see him getting a little bit more active. But the map control's already been gained by Zoomers. They're going to keep this Beastmaster playing in the enemy jungle. He's only about 800 gold away from his Aghanim Scepter. And at the same time, really, they've allotted this space over to Scourge, but whenever they want to turn up the heat, you're going to see this Invoker prodding and poking. Oh, and actually Red 2?
Ice
They're
Blast
just gonna get hit up,
in.
but
He should
yeah,
be
they
able
don't
to
want
fall
to even
back.
do anything. They just want to let him go. And you had Tingle King rotating over, so I'm surprised they didn't try for that a little bit harder.
Tornado there thrown out in exchange. Not going to hit much of anything, but he was just looking to see what he could find. Speaking of what they could find, Brax is getting hunted down in that bottom lane. Red 2's on him right now. Giant's coming in as well,
Nice.
and I don't think Brax makes it out of this one. The LSA will lock him down. He does have the Roar, but it's already too late. Laguna into Spear is going to keep him pinned, and they will be able to find the kill. That's a big one there for the side of the cut. It does require about 4 heroes, but they do at least temporarily put an end to Brax's shenanigans. He had just been camped out in that bottom lane for the entirety of the game.
And that is something that maybe if the maps were swapped, Beastmasters on the Radiant team playing in that dire top side, it is a lot more difficult to find him, whereas down here, you don't have that many trees to play in. It's a lot easier to place one ward, find the Beastmaster, take him out, so Brax gets a little bit too greedy with his positioning. But again, 4-man rotation, the Wraith King is still farming quite heavily, and up until you get this heart on Naga, I don't think Scourge is really going to want to make an appearance in these fights. And they're popping their smoke. They found Gunner.
They go in with the arena. They've got that spear onto Gunner, as you said. Ice Blast coming through as well, but now the Earth Splitter is going to be coming through, and Tingle, he's just not tanky enough. He will be taken down. Sammy gets the kill. Red 2 in with the Avalanche. It's a little too late, though, and now the Wraithfire Blast will lock him down. Brax is looking to come in as well. Does he drop the Roar? And if he does, who's it go on to? He's looking for Scourge right now, and he actually canceled out the ult. It doesn't come through. No song. Scourge is dead. Red 2, excuse me, is dead as well, and Pingu, he was so close to TPing out, but Gunner hits him up with the last bit of damage. It's a triple kill for the Invoker, and that was absolutely horrible. You said at the time, didn't really think Scourge wanted to be involved in that fight. Turns out he didn't. He didn't figure that out, though, until he's already into the engagement. That's 4 dead. They do get the reincarnation, and yeah, sure, I mean, it's on a bit of a cooldown, but really, who cares? 4 Zoomers take the fight, and now they're directly into the Roche pit.
And really, it felt like Zoomers didn't do anything special there. It's just keep it simple, stupid. Sammy Boy just walked in between all of their Blink initiators. Tingle King got his follow-up blocked out by the Radiance. The Red 2 just got a little bit too close to that Wraith King. Sammy Boy, no fear, puts up a wall between Tingle King and the rest of the team. And then Brax, with just TPing mid at that tier 1, is able to walk up and just hit the Naga Siren, and Scourge gets a little bit too close. He did make Sammy Boy sort of think for a second, maybe I need to use my 10 stick here. I do need to be a little bit concerned, but now you have the shard on the Wraith King, so he's not going to care about your defusal timing anymore, and you need to play on the other heroes on the 4 Zoomers side, but again, you don't have that mobility. If Husky really messes up, maybe you're going to be able to find this backline, but this ET is always going to be a thorn in your side. And now that he has a Glimmer Cape as well, he's just always going to be able to save his teammates.
Yeah, there's just really too much on the 4 Zoomer side. Scourge is certainly still up there in terms of net worth, but when it comes down to the engagements, 4 Zoomers as a squad have enough to counteract really anything.
Big smoke.
That the Naga does, but yeah, they're going to go for the smoke play here. Maybe they initiate with the song this time. We'll see. Scourge is sort of leading the charge here, trying to get onto somebody, but the smoke is popped. He is in onto Husky, though, but the Glimmer, it's going to buy him a little bit of time. He's still stunned up by the LSA, though, so Husky may still be in some trouble. He's going to get locked down by the Ensnare, but now here comes the Earth Splitter into the Tornado, into the Roar. Scourge completely isolated from his teammates. Where the hell did everyone go? They all tried to push in further to the east, and that is going to be enough to take down Gunner, but they lose Scourge. I'm not entirely sure if this is going to be worthwhile for them, as Pingu, dropping low as well, going to be taken down there by Ocean. Giants finished off by Brax, and the 1 kill onto Gunner is not going to be enough. They just split their focus too much. Scourge really did need backup in that fight, and by the time he's in it, there's no one behind him. Oh no, Red 2 gonna get caught as well. Bramble Maze locks him down. Stomp comes in as well. The Curse Crown will be there. Brax has now come in for the damage, and
all the axes.
He's gonna try to TP out. Is he gonna make it? Yes, he is. They used all of their lockdown initially, so okay. Red 2 makes it away.
Yeah, a little bit awkward. Probably should have saved the Bramble just a little bit more. It doesn't have a Yule Scepter either. But yeah, you lose the Naga Siren. Everybody sort of dogpiles onto Gunner, and you are able to get that kill and shut out the Invoker. But you crumbled a little bit. You had that sort of little play onto Husky. You didn't know about the Glimmer Cape, so you don't have any dust on your heroes just yet. So the play isn't very clean or very fast. And again, Sammy Boy doesn't even have a Blink Dagger. He simply walks up to the Naga Siren, stuns her, and she really hates that. She hates fighting the Wraith King at this point. And while you don't have the most armor on this Wraith King just yet, you do have that AC queued up. The Naga Siren doesn't have HP. Up until that heart, you can't really win that man fight. You just try to fight up versus that Wraith King, and you get crit for 800, and he heals back up to half HP. You can't really take these engagements just yet.
Right now, 4 Zoomers setting up for a high ground push here. Sammy Boy previously was able to get about half the HP out from this tier 3, and now they've got the Creep Wave, they've got the Boars, they've got the Skeletons, they've got the Forged Spirits, they still have Aegis. This is just going to be a successful push, and Scourge is not even in position here to really help defend this. So without their Naga Siren, I don't really think there's a whole lot they're going to be willing to do. They're throwing out the occasional spell here and there, hoping to clear through the creeps, maybe get the backdoor protection back in, but it's not going to be here in time. The melee racks has already gone down. Sammy Boy is going to actually stick around for the ranged as well, so he'll be a little bit thorough here, realizing there's still no direct threat to him. So bottom lane taken in its entirety. 4 Zoomers back away. They do so now with an 11,000 net worth lead, and they're really cooking at this point.
Yeah, and there's really nothing that the cut can do. They need to wait for their timing a little bit more. They don't even have bad farm on their cores necessarily. It just doesn't matter sort of versus the matchup that 4 Zoomers have got here.
Well, Tingle's
really,
absolutely dead here.
And he has to be making these plays. He has to be getting the map out just a little bit. And I wonder if we're going to see Ocean pick up that shard. That shard's incredibly annoying with the Cursed Crown. It would really cause some chaos for Scourge. And again, we have this Naga Siren. He's getting the waves in. He's starting to do the split push game. He has all of those illusions at his disposal. But how much can Scourge really 1v9 here? How much is he going to be able to keep these waves in? It is working, but again, I think for Zoomers, they just shore up their play 6 to 17. The cut really aren't finding much with their sort of active lineup.
Yeah, there is a bit of good news, though, for the Naga Siren. The bit booster was just purchased up there, so that Heart of Tarask will be completed once the recipe's brought out. But Gunner, he spots the Naga. Can he actually get this kill? Scourge?
Perfect.
He wants to get the song out, but he's not really going to get the opportunity now. And here comes the Terrorize as well. Still not able to get out that song. He's going to get hit up by the Bramble. There's one connecting into the Meteor, but the song will be deployed. But he's actually stunned up by the Curse Crown now as well. He still can't get out. He's going to look for the TP, and it looks like he'll make
just
it.
Barely.
As those final axes didn't quite get there in time.
Yeah, they needed Husky. If Husky TPs there, then that is just a dead hero. They needed the ET instead of the Beastmaster, but still, this is what Gunner needs to do. I'm surprised they don't place up a ward here. Sometimes when we do see that anti-major, the Naga Siren, you just place a ward to see your own triangle, because that's where the Naga Siren would love to find her farm. But you force the Naga back to the base. You didn't end up killing her, but it's sort of a reset on your map where now for Zoomers, they get their 3 lanes in. They're able to play everywhere, and unless Scourge is really able to get back in that position pretty soon here, he's always sort of putting himself at risk now, as for Zoomers are definitely going to switch up their game plan.
Scourge?
They think he's an illusion.
Rax, he wants the roar now, but now it's too late. They're going to jump in. Nice play in from Tingle, blinking forward, dropping the arena into the Spear Stun. Ice Blast comes through as well. Red 2 in with the Avalanche Toss combo, and Brax is dead, but they need to worry about the response here. That Earth Splitter doesn't connect onto anything, but 4 Zoomers are just sort of shoving their way in. Tingle King will be taken down. Red 2 on the run as well. Essence Ring will be popped for the bonus HP, but he's still going to get stunned up here. Good LSA in from Giant, though, connecting onto 3. Red 2 is going to try to turn around, but at this point, there's really nothing he can do. He can't even look for the TP out either, so he's just going to get slowed up and taken down as Sammy picks up the double. And for the side of the cut, it was a good initiation there, getting it onto Brax. The problem is, they didn't realize 4 Zoomers had so many reinforcements nearby.
And we'll see if Ocean is actually able to capture Giant here, as they are sort of swapping positions. Yeah, it's a interesting chase in bottom, but I think
Gunner wants it.
Yeah, Gunner's got him. Don't think there's any way he jukes this out for much longer.
Cold Snap will be deployed. The Urn is coming in, and Giant really has nothing left to fight with. Doesn't even have the mana to throw out any spells here, so the Curse Crown will stun him up, and Gunner should be able to finish him off. No, Ocean will sort of snag it away from him at the last second, but it is still going to be another kill. Giant taken down. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Sammy Boy trying to get a little bit more out of that one. He pushes in onto the tier 3 top and does put in about 700 or 800 damage onto that tower before Tingle comes to stop him.
Yeah, and you already had that wave in top. We saw Scourge take the time now. He is going to be songed, forced back to base most likely here. Husky not in range to sort of look for that stomp play. He's just deciding to play behind his Wraith King, make sure that Sammy Boy really isn't under any threat. But Zoomers, they're really making all the moves they need to. While Scourge is still finding the farm, his last hits are actually very impressive 30 minutes into the game. Unless he really gets something to force the enemy's hand here. Let's see if Roshan responds in 15, but this DD rune might just be the call to try and break high ground, especially because they're catching the Naga illusions mid, so that mirror image, he's really going to need to find these waves in a second here, otherwise this is probably going to be a high ground push.
Yeah, and Sammy does have that AC finished up here as well, so he's got DD, he's got the arm, he's got the attack speed. His teammates, meanwhile, are looking for Tingle, and they don't quite catch him. He's going to be able to TP himself out, but further to the northeast, Scourge is actually getting jumped in on. Gunner's going to try to lock him down. Sammy, meanwhile, is just pushing directly into the base. Yeah. These fights are so broken up right now, but it's all going 4 Zoomers' way. They've taken down both of those supports. Pingu, though, will buy back, but by the time he's back in, the Mars should be dying. Can they get him? Yes, they can. Sammy coming in with the crit there. He will be able to find the kill. Meanwhile, Scourge does get picked off back in that top lane, so everything goes wrong for the cut. They lose every fight on every section of the map. And now their base is under attack once again as Sammy...
Pingu.
Sammy wants in. Pingu's going to die a second time. That buyback.
And we might just see the GG here, to be honest. You catch the Naga Siren top, you just have this Wraith King running in with the DD rune, and it was a really good cover as well. Tingle King really sort of ran out of options incredibly fast. You weren't able to see what the Dark Will was doing. Well, Red 2 is just getting played with, and without any fast buybacks here, I think, yeah, this is most likely just going to be Mega's one last try coming in from the cut, but they might just go AFK and GG this one out, because I think 4Zoomers have it, whether or not they are able to get that last sort of college try in here.
Yeah, it would just be sort of a desperation attempt, but they're going to give it a go. 4-man Smoke pushing in. Let's see if they've got a miracle in him. Scourge has the song, but he doesn't even get close enough to do anything. So, no fight there. Mega Creeps acquired. 23k gold lead for the 4Zoomers, and, well, I don't know. The Cutter's still going to look for one last attempt, but at this point, I said before they would sort of need a miracle. It's incredibly unlikely that they pull this off, but with the fight being delayed a little bit, the Ancient Apparition is at least going to be alive for this next one, so you will have the Ice Blast to deploy in there for whatever that's going to be worth. Ooh.
Yeah, but all of the luxury items are coming out now. You have a Solar Crest finished up on the Beastmaster. Husky is now working on an Ags on the Elder Titan. You're getting an Octarine Core, an Invoker. Really, everything is coming out for the 4Zoomers.
Sammy's got a Swift Blink. Look at him just book it
he
through
is
the
just
jungle.
gonna kill whoever he wants. He has that attack speed. He's even level 25, so whoever he goes on is most likely gonna die. You don't have those Yule Scepters. Pingu's getting bullied in his own base. There's not even a BKB on Gunner. He could definitely get punished, but nope.
Pingu dead, Giant dead. Roar comes in onto Scourge.
Dead.
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty much what we expected, but actually seeing it play out is still a little bit painful. But, well, 4Zoomers are just going to sort of march their way forward. Red 2 is going to throw out the Tree Volley. That does a little bit of damage, but it's not enough to save his teammate. Tingle will still fall. Red 2 now going to get stunned up. Nice toss, though. Yeah, that's going to throw Gunner into the fountain, so they do at least bring him down, but I really don't think that's going to matter still, as everyone who's left alive in the cut are just sort of hanging out inside of their own fountain. Sammy Boy is going to lose his reincarnation there, but as soon as it's back up, he just blinks into the fountain. They're going to clean this one up. Giant taken down. The Naga will fall, and the Ancient will die.
Yeah.
So, 4Zoomers, a dominant showing. Yeah, they did GG, but it's not in time. So, well, that's what happens, right? They knew that they were going down anyway, so may as well just sort of make your opponents work those extra couple seconds for it, but 4Zoomers really didn't have too many problems with that. They get themselves the win, 31-9. Scoreline is, game one is a bit of a slaughter for the 4Zoomers side.
Yeah, and unfortunately it is sort of an expected slaughter, and it's just the small misplays. The first arena blink reveal coming in from Tingle King, the 15-30 second blink dagger coming out from that tiny. 4Zoomers just stylistically sort of honed the cut on every single front. You had maybe some small victories bottom. The lane didn't go horribly wrong. Scourge was able to find his farm, but 4Zoomers just sort of edged them out in pretty much every single way. After a certain point, Red 2 and Tingle really struggled to find any counter plays, and even though they were able to get kills here and there on the Invoker, we always saw Scourge sort of punish for the two fights that he wanted to show up on, and we see with those mega carries, every single death, even if you only die 3-4 times, you just lose all of your map during that time. So, 4Zoomers, I can't say I'm surprised.
Yeah, this is pretty much the result that we expected, as 4Zoomers proving why they're one of the top squads in the region and why they currently stand at the top of those sort of group stage standings in this event. So, notching themselves a win here in Game 1, and now building some momentum to potentially take into the second match of this best of two. So, we are going to be stepping away for just a moment, but when we return, it will be the start of the Game 2 draft between 4Zoomers and the Cut. We'll see if 4Zoomers can just sort of clean sweep this one, get themselves a nice and easy 2-0, or if the Cut are going to be able to fight back to salvage a point and get that 1-1 draw. So, stick around, folks. We'll be back in just a little bit.